See, our parents had one job. One. And that was to listen, to care, to love, to protect us. And they didn't do it. And yes, that makes me angry.
Hi, bright soul. If you're carrying the ache of childhood emotional neglect, the absence of the parent you needed, or the pain your younger self carries today, take a deep breath. You're in a safe place. I'm Beverly, a survivor turned owner, a messenger of grace, and a life coach who learned to let God meet and heal the younger me. Now, I want to help you understand your story. I want God to restore and heal your inner child, and I want you to take ownership of your adult life. So grab your journal and your favorite drink. Let's settle in, let's breathe, and begin.
Before we get started, please note, this podcast may include discussions about emotionally difficult family dynamics, including emotionally absent or unavailable parents. Everything shared here is for educational and motivational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please seek support from a licensed professional if you need it.
Well, hello, bright souls. Hey, welcome back. I am so happy you decided to join me, and I pray you had a wonderful weekend and going forward a grace-filled week. I just love when you show up and you show your support, because that means I have a message and you guys are getting it. You're growing, you're taking this journey, and you want more. And that's what I'm here for. So guess what? You've stepped into Move Forward Monday. This is your space to breathe, reset, and take ownership of your life, the one that God gave you to take care of. I'm so glad you're here. Now, before we dive in, I want to honor one of our listeners who stopped by the Apple Podcast and left such a heartfelt review. Terry Lee, thank you. You titled your message, Instrument of Healing. This is what she wrote. At 63, I am still discovering the impact of not having my dad in my life. God bless Beverly for sharing her journey and being an instrument of healing hearts and identities. I am looking forward to more discovery and God's healing through her podcast. Well, Terry, if I could hug you right now, I certainly would. If I could just give you a squeeze through this microphone. Thank you so much. You know, doing God's work and sharing my journey and my story is not easy. This isn't easy because a lot of us who are overachievers and who have gone through trauma, we're very private. But you know what? If we can't help each other to heal and bring each other back to God, then we don't have a purpose. Our purpose is to help each other, to love your neighbor as yourself. And if I love myself enough to be able to get the healing, then I love my neighbors enough to be able to share it. Jesus sees your pain, your longing in every mile of your journey. And bright soul, I am so proud of you. I am proud that you are here with me and you choose to move forward and you choose to move from being a victim to survivor. And being a survivor to now taking ownership of your healing. It takes courage. It takes strength. And that is exactly what Move Forward Monday is all about. So, bright soul, if this podcast has been a place of clarity or comfort for you, I would love for you to leave a review on Apple Podcast. Your words, they don't just support this work. They help other survivors find the hope and healing they've been praying for. Now, let's get into the first two faces of the emotionally absent parent. Psalms chapter 27, verse 10. Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. You never held me or showed me any type of affection. When I reached for you as a child, you just pushed me away and didn't show me attention. If you were forced to care for me, you did it with anger and misery. You yelled or you responded with silence, withdrawal, or vain and simple empathy. You didn't comfort me when hurt or soothe my aching pains. You struggled to say I love you and even left me standing in the rain. You were silent towards me and only talked when you needed to. You walked away, you worked, you stayed busy. You didn't have a clue. I never even got a congratulations or I'm proud of you. I walked around every day with my head hanging down because you were my parent who was emotionally shut down. Well, you think that was bad? Take a look at me and what I went through. Mine was overly emotional and stressed all the time. Shut down, withdrawn, or irritation became a regular pastime. I couldn't make noise or yelling happened when I made a mess. Some days were good, but the others were more or less. You never knew which parent woke up on that day, tired, drained, too overworked to even play. Your nose was always in other places like your phone, your hobbies, your sleep, anything to keep you constantly distracted from me. You cried, and I never knew why. You panicked with worry in your eye. You only used me to support your mental insanity. You barely kept your promises, and it seemed like you hated me. Your burdens had me bound because you came to me for therapy. It took me years, but I finally figured what this was about. You were the parent who was overwhelmed and emotionally checked out. Bright souls, I know today is Move Forward Monday, but can I be honest with you? I just want to be plain out, transparent, no filler, raw, honest, just simple honesty. You see, every time I sit down to write a poem or an opening or a story or this podcast, inside, I get angry. I really get pissed. I get so angry, I want to cry. And I know that this is supposed to be motivational, but listen, I carry the heart of God. And when someone harms his children, he doesn't just shrug his shoulder and go, oh, well. He doesn't just stand on the sideline and just covers up his face. He gets angry too. This is not okay. Angry. Had one job. One. And that was to listen, to care, to love, to protect us. And they didn't do it. And yes, that makes me angry. But then I hear this quiet whisper inside.
In your anger, do not sin. Don't let the sun go down on your anger. Ephesians 4:26.
And I'm like, but God, I I am angry. I am angry. Do you know what it feels like when my mother wasn't there emotionally? When she left me, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and relationally? Do you get it? Do you know what it felt like when my dad did not comfort me only but one time? And every other time I lived with him, I did not know if I was coming or if I was going. Everything I did was wrong. Everything I needed was just too much. If only. And then I hear God whisper again.
Do not take revenge. Leave room for my justice. I will repay. Romans 12:19.
And as I sit here, a single tear, just one, rolls down my face and my spirit settles. Christ reminds me that he's in control and that he saw everything. And that he never left me and that he will never forsake me. And in that moment, my spirit calms down. Not because the anger disappears, but because I remember who holds justice and who truly holds me. But I'm still left with that question. I'm supposed to be healed, but why did it hurt so much? You see, this pain, it doesn't just show up out of nowhere. It comes from patterns. It comes from the kind of parenting we had to survive. It comes from the emotional climate that we were raised in, the one we never asked for. And you know what, bright soul, the one that I'm talking to right now, we're going to put a name to that emotion. We're going to put a name to that absence. We're going to give it a face. Because once you give it a face, then you have the courage to confront it. You see, that emotional absence is what shaped us as a child, and we didn't even realize it. It's the emotion that we carry on the inside that comes up sometimes out of nowhere. And I'm not here to blame them. I'm not here to shame you. But I just want you to understand this is what actually shaped you. Naming that truth finally starts the healing. Does it remove the anger? Some days I'm angry, and a lot of days I don't even think about it. But what hurts me most is that there are so many of us out there that's going through this. And none of you, not one bright soul out there, is alone. You are not alone. The first parent I want to talk about is the emotionally shut down parent. And you see, as a child, you learn to adjust, not in a healthy, flexible way, but in a survival way. Adjusting meant you only stepped into the room when you sensed that you were safe, and you just tucked yourself in the corner, invisible, hidden, hoping that someone would finally notice you. It also gave you a chance to study your parents. You looked at their faces before they spoke. You kind of held in your breath before you said anything because the energy would shift around. And when it wasn't the right time, you knew how to shrink back. You, Bryso, didn't add to their overwhelmed. You weren't mature enough to understand and to manage the emotional environment they were in. It was just too much and too big for you. You see, you had to mold yourself, shape yourself around their shutdown and around their chaos and around their disconnect. You had to learn ways that you can try to stay connected with them. And as a child, you just learned to adjust. It became easy, it became natural. You learn how to hold your breath and brace yourself emotionally. You learn to keep your feelings very small so that you wouldn't be seen. And you learn to disappear inside so that you wouldn't make them feel like you were too much and too much to handle. That was the emotionally shut down parent. Now, the overwhelmed, checked out parent, that parent was pretty cold. They were just drowning and just trying to figure it all out and trying to survive. They loved you, but they were exhausted. They were overstimulated. They were stretched thin. They were not in the present. They didn't know how to take the time to just be still. And if they did, they were present 1 minute, but quickly right after that, they were gone. This parent, they got overwhelmed very fast. It was so easy for them to feel like everything was out of control. They was shut down when life felt heavy. They too escaped distractions just to get away from facing their own reality. And they also leaned on you for emotional support. They struggled to follow through on anything. And as a child, you learn to adjust. You too learn to adjust. But your version of adjusting, it looked a little different. You didn't even recognize that you needed an adult. You didn't even know that an adult was supposed to meet your needs, but instead you focused on whatever the overwhelmed parent really needed at the moment. You became the adult. You gave hugs to calm them down when they were falling apart. You stepped in to ease the tension. You even put yourself in danger at times to protect them. You thought it was your job to do it. You thought it was your job to keep the peace within the house. When you walked in the room and you saw that it was off, you knew how to quiet the noise. You knew how to distract the chaos. You might have done that through jokes or something. But you were the one that made it easier so the adult wouldn't break. And you also became the helpful one. You were the responsible one. And as you got older over the years, you were the mature one beyond your years. That was survival, and you had to bear the responsibility of the overwhelmed, checked out parent. Bright souls, I need for you to listen to me closely. You are not your parents. They are not your responsibility. As an adult, you don't owe anything to them, and they no longer owe anything to you. That was then, and this is now. You see, their overwhelm was never your responsibility as a child, but you took on that responsibility. You were a child. It's so sad that you had to be the calm one, the emotional anchor, the one that you had to read the room before you can even walk into the door, before you can even say anything. See, you carried their stress, you carried their sadness, you carried their exhaustion, you carried their life. And you know why? Because you were there and you had no choice. Now, here's the part that really hits hard. You thought their overwhelm meant you were the problem. How many of you out there, you thought that when your parents were exhausted, it was because you were in the way and you were too much and you were playing too hard and you were just making too much noise? You thought that if they didn't say anything to you, you needed to fix something. They're angry at you and you needed to do something. Their disappointment made you feel like you were not good enough. You even felt like you were the black sheep, alone, not included, isolated. If there were other kids in the house, you even took care of them. Right? So what you carried was never meant for an innocent child. It was never meant for your mind. It was never meant for your heart. And it was never meant for your body. You were doing the best you could with what you got. And you weren't wrong. You weren't too much. You weren't the cause of the problem or the issue. You were just a little one trying to make sense of an adult who couldn't hold themselves together. And you deserved someone who can hold you. I want that to resonate with you. You deserved someone who could hold you. Bright soul, take a deep breath with me right now. See, you spend your whole life being the strong one, the steady one, the one who holds everything and everybody together. But I need you to hear me. I need you to hear me with your whole heart. I need you to hear me closely with your mind. You were never given a chance to be a child. You learned how to survive by comforting adults who should have comforted you, and you protected people who were supposed to protect you. And somewhere along the way, you started believing that your worth was tied to that. You start believing that your worth was tied to how well you can hold everybody else up and everybody else together, because you know what? You grew into the person today that trauma shaped you in. So let me ask you a question. What would change if the adult in you finally stepped out of survival mode and into the life God has been trying to hand you? I really want you to stop and think about that. What would happen if you stopped living like the scared, overburdened child who had to hold everything together and hold everybody together? What would happen if you opened up and you stopped bracing yourself for impact, and you stopped anticipating everyone else's need, and you stopped carrying emotional weight that was never yours? Can you imagine the freedom of waking up and not scanning the room for any type of danger, or just looking around to see what kind of mood anybody's in once they get out of bed, even as an adult? How about wondering who's in a bad mood, and if Their feelings mattered to you, and you're responsible for that. Have you ever walked into your office and someone was in a bad mood and you felt responsible for their bad mood? You felt responsible to fix it? Imagine making decisions from clarity instead of the fear that you grew up with. Instead of the fear that said you messed up, or that there are consequences for not getting it right, or if someone withdraws from you, something is wrong with you. Imagine what it would feel like if someone silenced you or ghosted you and you thought, thank you, instead of, what did I do to make them mad? What did I do to make them angry at me? Are they angry at me? Did I do something wrong? Then imagine letting God lead you instead of your old survival patterns. Imagine finally living like someone who is safe, protected, and supported, and chosen. Because you know what? You are. This isn't about becoming a different person. It's about discovering the real you, not what others created you to be. Who are you? No, truly. Who are you? Right, so I need for the adult in you to step up. Not the child who had survived. That child is waiting on you to say, you know what? I got you. You don't have to do anything. I got this. I'm the adult. Not the teenager who learned to stay small. Not the version of you who carried everyone else's emotion because no one carried yours. I am the adult. I am the one who has access to truth, to God, to support, to choices that I never had as a child. The adult me is the one who gets to rewrite the story. The adult me is the one who gets to stop the cycle. The adult me is the one who finally gets to say, I don't have to live like this anymore. And you get to tell the little one, I know this sounds big. It is big. And only big people can handle this. So I got you. I got you. Now, bright soul, the adult bright soul, this doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen all at one time. It takes one step at a time to get there. One moment, one thought, one shift in how you respond to yourself. You see, healing is not just this big old jump you have to take. It's one foot right in front of the other. And just like a baby, you practice walking. And today, I want you to practice one thing, and that is awareness. Awareness of when you slip back into survival mode. Awareness of when your body tenses like danger is coming. Awareness of when you silence yourself out of habit and you don't speak up and you don't protect yourself. I want you to take notice. Awareness is the doorway. Awareness is the first step. Awareness is how the adult you begins to rise. So that little child in you is not protecting the adult in you. You now get to protect the little child in you. Awareness is a movement. It's progress. It's strength. It's a dance. And once you get that rhythm, and once you learn how to walk in it, you become fearless. I want you to get this. I want you to get this so deeply because I want you to be able to tell anyone that stands before you, no thank you. I'm good. And truly mean it. Bright soul, as you go about the rest of your day, I want you to carry this truth. It's a gentle truth. You are no longer the child who had survived. You're the adult. You get to choose. You get to choose healing. You get to choose safety. You get to choose alignment. And I'm giving you permission. You are allowed to grow at your own pace. You are allowed to take one step, one moment, one thought at a time. And God gives you permission to meet Him right where you're at. Allow Him to carry everything for you because you're not alone. You're not behind. I don't care how old you are. You can be 70 listening to this and still trying to heal. You're not too old. You're not too far behind. And you know what? You're not too broken. Not for God. You are becoming. You're becoming everything that God wants you to be. And heaven, it sees every little bit of it. God saw you then. He sees you now. He protected you then. He protects you now. He calls you His, and He's never left you. You are worth showing up for. Every small step, it is a movement. Draw closer to God. He's got you too. Well, bright soul, I'm at my end. I just wish I could just hug you through this microphone right now. And I just hope you feel the love of God right where you are today listening. I want you to keep walking in truth. I want you to keep healing with courage and keep letting God make you whole. Keep showing up for yourself. Keep protecting that little child that wants to come up and protect you. It's time for you to protect him or her. I know you can do it. I know you will do it. So, until we meet again on Wednesday, I pray that Move Forward Monday motivated you to think differently. Thank you, Bright Soul, for showing up today. Well, Bright Soul, I pray today's episode met you with God's gentleness. If something touched your heart, I would really love to hear from you. You can leave me a review on Apple Podcast, or you can send me an email and share what God stirred in your heart. Or if you want to go deeper, you can order your Bright Soul Bundle Journal. It's on sale this month. It's a quiet way to meet God and meet yourself. Join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday as we keep healing with God. Until then, let your soul breathe.